And the engagement for the Reflections Gallery project. So we thank you all for being here, whether you've come specifically for this or whether you've been enjoying the festivities at JAG Festival. Thank you so much for taking the time to come here today. And before we get into anything, I just wanted to give some housekeeping rules before we go into the actual performances. So first of all, as I mentioned earlier, if you weren't here, please grab yourself samosa, there's some soup as well. But obviously the containers, please make sure you put them in a bin. There's some bins along the front, along Soho Road, so please make sure you take your rubbish with you and you can pull it into a bin. Also for toilets, there is a toilet at the library. So the library has been very gracious, said that we can use their toilets if you need to. However, you will need to get a key to be able to enter the toilet. So please go to the reception, they will give you a key. Additionally, if you have any children, anyone that needs to be changed, they also have facilities for that as well. So please be mindful of that as well. Also, just another thing to be mindful of, there are some cables around, so please when you're walking, just mind your steps so that you don't trip over anything. We don't want any hazards happening during this event. So please just be mindful of that, of where you're walking as well. And lastly, so Soho Road is very busy, it's very noisy. So what I'm requesting after every performance, we need the loudest cheer from you guys in here, all right? So we're gonna try it now. 1, 2, 3. That was so good, so I know you can do better. 1, 2, 3. Amazing. So we want that after each performance that you're going to see, or each clip that you're going to see, okay? Perfect. And why do I say clip? I say clip because this is just a preview of what is to come for the actual launch. So this is Reflections Gallery preview. The launch will come at a later date. We will give you all the socials, everything you need to be able to get yourself familiar with what you need to be able to see and understand when the actual launch date is. So please, that will be towards the end. So just make sure you listen out for that. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, amazing. So onto the program for the day. So some of the things you're going to hear from the mastermind behind all of this soon. So you can welcome him on very soon. So we're going to hear from him. We're going to have some performances from Raj, Rajni, Afijam, Shano and JJ. We will all have some presentations as well from author Sharon Dougal and Wahida, the illustrator for Rajni's story, and Grace from Shelby X Studios. Additionally, at the end, if you have any questions, we will have a Q&A at the end. So please, throughout, if any questions come to you, please, you will have time at the end. And we also ask for you to be respectful as people are talking. Please don't interrupt. Please be mindful that people have here to perform. Is that okay? Okay. Perfect. So, first things first, like I said, we are going to welcome the mastermind. We are going to welcome the mastermind behind all of this, the person whose brainchild this was. So I want you to give it up for Sergeant Gill.
Let's go. Thank you very much, Rochelle.
Take a seat, Sergeant.
Thank you.
So, as I had mentioned, this is Sergeant's brainchild. And we're going to talk more about how this came about, where this all started. So, Sergeant, please just mention, how did Reflections Gallery come about?
So, I think it all started when I just love taking photos of people, of just street photography in general. I always keep a little camera in my little pouch. That's why I've got it on me. It's just never, anyone who knows me knows I always carry this pouch with me. So eventually I started talking to people, as you do. And I thought, why not document this? Why not document what people are telling me about their lives, about the cost of living, about people's struggles, people's joys, about organising, about people's politics in the area. Things that don't usually get, shown. People whose voices who don't usually get heard, but are just as important, to be honest. So, yeah, that's where it all started from. And then I thought, all these photos I've gathered over probably about 5 to 6 years, I thought it needed to be shown. These have just been sitting on my hard drive.
Thank you.
And so that's where it all started from, Michelle. So, and then obviously you've jumped on board as well and offered, so much expertise to the project as well yourself. So yeah.
Thank you, Sarge. Before we go into any more questions with you, we are going to show a short mini documentary, just reflecting and showing some of the things that we have been up to the past couple of months and years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come here, don't talk.
Welcome back to the Mid-Morning Conversation Show with me, Cece, and of course our Dinko.
Hey, how you doing?
It turns out there's a project that I didn't even know about that's been going on. The project is called Life of Our People Project. I didn't know about it, so I dragged them into the studio. So we've got Rochelle, who's Head of Comms and Engagement, and we've got Sarge, who's the Creative Lead. Welcome to the Mid-Morning Conversation Show, both of you.
Hello.
Now, first of all, Life of People Project, what is that about?
So I've been collecting photos over the past 5 years in our local communities in Handsworth Ward, Winson Green, Newtown, the ends basically. And as I take photos, I take a little interview with people as well and say, you look great, etc. You kind of like, you've got them up a bit. No, I'm joking, but you get a nice little conversation out of them.
Yeah.
And eventually, through that process of about 5 years, I started to notice that people were saying the same sort of things. They were talking about their cultural joys, they were talking about, how things are, because people are struggling right now. And a lot of that is being pushed under the carpet, and it needs to be put into an artistic form, in my mind. Something that people can enjoy, engage with, not a dry thing that's just written on paper, but, something people can see themselves reflected in, something that people can hear their voices in, something that people can feel, this is my community. So then I've asked them to put this into poems, songs and stories, and lo and behold, we've got hundreds of photos now and about 8 artists on board, and we're putting together an exciting exhibition that's going to be at Handsworth Library. So that's where the idea came from. And it sort of spiraled, to be honest, Cece. It spiraled out of control.
No, it's in control.
It's in control.
Do you know Vanley Burke?
Vanley Burke is one of my inspirations, so I love his work.
Now you see, I was going to say, because Vanley, the pictures that he did were from sort of the 60s, 70s and 80s of the people, migrants who came here to work, whether they be black, Asian, Polish, whatever. He took photos of everybody.
That's right.
And so now you're taking the mantle of the people who are here now, going through. So do you know what? I would love to see an exhibition of both of those together.
I mean,
it would be like my whole life. Just going through, seeing all these photos. It'd be wonderful.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, Vanley Burke, Polga Caesar, the whole of that generation have had such an inspiration on this project and my own work. And we've actually got another person from that generation. Her name is Sharon Dougal. She's the author of Handsworth Times. She comes from that generation of the 70s, the 80s, coming up through the Lascelles and Handsworth riots, having that political engagement. And she's actually written an introduction to the project, which I'm very grateful for doing.
Wonderful. Such a cosmopolitan area, isn't it? It's wonderful.
Yes, exactly. And I think sometimes, people stick to going into the city centre to a gallery, but it's like we have this in Handsworth, such a vibrant place within Birmingham, especially outside the Handsworth Library as well. So I think it's definitely something that people should take the time out. It will be there for 10 weeks, so you have time. You can't say you never had time.
How much is it to go in?
It's free for everybody.
It's free.
Absolutely free.
It's free. Come on.
It really involved the local community, and we're also giving out free little photo books. So if you come down, you're going to get one of those.
It sounds absolutely fabulous. Now, Rochelle, you're head of comms and engagement. So, what exactly is your job? So, what have you been doing?
Well, my role was mainly when it came to the media. Additionally, I've been sourcing out the translations for these different.
Oh yes, of course, yes.
Because we do have each of them translated into 6 languages, which I think is
grief.
Yes.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It is. But we wanted to make sure that a wide variety of the community was represented. You know what I mean? So those 6 languages being Urdu, Pahari, Somali, Polish, Punjabi, and Bengali. So when you go,
do you know how to talk some of those now?
Just got balls.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
She's multilingual.
I mean, that's just amazing that you've got 6 languages that you're going to actually translate all that into. I mean, that makes everybody feels really inclusive, doesn't it?
That's also represented in the different artists that we have as well. They're from various backgrounds. But also when it comes to those who will appear at the gallery, we want to make sure that when it comes to, we're going to have subtitles, we want everyone to understand, you know, we don't just want a portion to understand, we want everyone to feel included. So that was a big part of this. So it has been a lot of work, but it's been really great. You know, it's been really, really great.
Absolutely fabulous, and I really do hope that, you know, you get the schools to come, colleges to come. I think people do need to come and see this. And local people as well, from all the areas, surrounding areas. I think you need to go and have a look as well and just see what is going on. Roche and Sarge, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk to me about, well, I dragged you in, but anyway.
No, honestly, thank you.
Thank you very much for talking to us about that. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Sergeant Girl, number 1.
Amazing, amazing. So Sergeant, talk about some of the inspiration that you had behind this project.
So I think the obvious people talk about would be people like Vanley Burke, people like Polgus Caesar, all the filmmakers, photographers from the 70s, 80s, coming up through, you know, the Handsworth and Lascelles riots, people who took photos of people. And, you know I've been speaking to a few people here today who are street photographers themselves. Even my friend at the back there, Mr. Manager, who's not... So there's a lot of people out there who have this shared ambition to document their community. And I think it's come from this rich history that we have around here of these heavyweights in terms of, the filmmakers, the honesty in their work and their community based element of their work. So I think those would be the inspirations in terms of the photos as far as that goes.
Definitely. So when it came to then taking that inspiration, taking those ideas, putting it into the photography, what were you hoping to then achieve with that?
So initially it was sort of a social documentary type thing, photographing people on the street, average street photography type thing. But it evolved with my own political understanding of socialism, anti-imperialism. It evolved into something to sort of channel that and bring these two things together, the politics, art, and to try and make it something that people can relate with, not some sort of high form of art that people can't get a rung on the ladder. It's something that everybody can relate with, and my to answer your last question, my main ambitions would be to actually get people politically engaged with the work. So that's why we've got the poems, which are very political. They're very talking about a lot of deep topics, a lot of sensitive topics, but in a dignified way. So it's coming from the people themselves. So that would be my goal, to try and get people politically organised and politically engaged with the topics.
Yeah, definitely. So sticking on that topic of the poems and the different songs and the stories that you can see an example of them on the boards. As I said earlier, this is a preview. You will be languages, and that's something that was also mentioned in the video that you just saw. So Sergeant, the different languages were Urdu, Bengali, Pahari, Polish, Somali, and Punjabi.
Very good.
And I know I was heading that up, the translations. I don't speak all those languages, if only, but I was managing that up. So, and I know you brought me on. So what significance was that for you to have it within all those languages?
So I actually got those 6 languages from the census. So those 6 languages are the most spoken languages in Handsworth after English. So it only really made sense to translate the works into these languages so everybody can understand, because even, you know, we're at Jog Festival today. It's very fitting because the Punjabi Pahari Patwari Festival, and a lot of the time the Pahari language, for example, gets forgotten about when we have events like this. Obviously not like this, but events in areas where Pahari is one of the most spoken languages. So not only that, but the other languages that you mentioned, they reflect the waves of immigration to the area and Birmingham in general. So yeah, it was only right to, because in some streets, English is not the most spoken language.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some places people do not even speak English, so that's not their first language. So yeah, it made sense.
Amazing, amazing. So now what we're going to see a pre-recorded clip from an author called Sharon Dougal. She's from Handsworth, and she wrote the book The Handsworth Times. So we're just going to watch that, and then we'll come back to you.
About a year ago, I had Neil
Thank you.
who introduced himself as a multidisciplinary artist from Birmingham. Sarjan had recently and suggested we connect as fellow artists from similar cultural backgrounds so he could tell me about his Life of a People project and see if I wanted to be involved in an upcoming exhibition of some of the work. The exhibition has now been aptly named Reflections Gallery. We met up over a cup of tea in a small cafe in Brum and, as expected, found clear crossovers in our shared connections to the Indian subcontinent via our immigrant families, and also in our varying experiences of growing up, albeit a couple of decades apart, around the similar influences in Handsworth, Handsworth Wood, Lozells, Aston, Perry Bar, and the other areas of North Birmingham which make up the focus of the project. For us both, it seems, it is the intersectionality of culture and locality which has made us into the artists we are, and I saw elements of my own creative self. I was, of course, pleased to be involved for this reason, but also because there is often a sense of unspoken camaraderie between people who come from areas like ours, and it seems natural to offer support where possible. Handsworth and North Birmingham more generally is typified by its culturally diverse and often fractured communities, by its ongoing deprivations and by the complexities which arise as a result, usually in the form of a multitude of devastating impacts on marginalised lives. My formative years were spent there in the 70s and 80s, a ferociously polemical time when racist and sexist in media and popular culture. For many of us, it was also a time defined by intergenerational moment from within the heart of the communities in which they exist. For the Sarjan gathered hundreds of Polaroid photographs of the people in the area, alongside informal interviews, the deliberately relaxed nature of which uncovered deeply personal accounts, stretching from Hampstead to Hopley, West Bromwich to Perry Bar, and many places in between. These are stories which range from racist workplace encounters to the challenges of existing within a drug economy, experiences of domestic abuse and housing exploitation, to the daily pressures of everyday existence. As I write this foreword, these interviews are being channelled into textual and filmed snapshots in the form of prose and poetry, which underpin and animate the street portrait images. Sarjan describes his work as socio-visual, analysing alienation under capitalism. In doing so, the project explores the effects of imperialism and the related traumas of war, migration, racism and displacement on the lives of immigrants and their descendants. But it also shows us something hopeful and joyful too, through glints of community resistance, cultural joys and the importance of collectivism and organising, and a sense of the often radical and sometimes irreverent voices of its subjects. It does all this without submitting to a white gaze, and so it becomes in and of itself an anti-racist statement. So, whilst on the surface Life of a People project is both an index and testimony to the diversity which marks our areas, places like Handsworth as unique, it is so much more than that, allowing us to get a multi-dimensional sense of the stories of the working class inner city communities, stories which still largely remain hidden. As such, the project becomes a radical act demonstrating that the personal and political are inextricably linked through the subjects and the stories it shines a light on, but also in the making of the work itself. It deepens my consideration of the nature of my relationship with a place I left some time ago and only occasionally returned to. I now contemplate how and why that place continues to inform and impact my own work, but also how it and I have moved away from who we were and what we were back then. And whilst my former home still partially resembles a 1980s place I left behind, often in the most devastating ways, Life of a People could only have been conceived and made by an artist like Sergeant Gill, who is intrinsic to the area, existing within its contradictory parameters, breathing it in as one of its own here and now.
Put your hands up. Put your hands together for Sharon Dougal. Yes, thank you to author Sharon Dougal for sending in that forward and doing that clip for us.
Yeah.
Sergeant.
Big thanks to her, yeah.
Big thanks to her. Sergeant, how important was it for you to have Sharon Dougal do the forward for this project?
So when I initially approached her, it was actually in an open forum. Like I didn't say to her, please do this or please do that. I just wanted to link up with her in some aspect of the project. It was her idea to do an intro, like a foreword, because in her mind, she doesn't live here anymore. So she felt that level of distance. Mm-hmm. So she thought an outsider looking back on her experiences would be better. So it's very important because it makes a tie to the previous generation of artists.
Yeah.
And all too often, those experiences of those artists from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they were not transferred down to us, I don't believe, in meaningful ways. Whether I don't know whose fault that is, but it was very important for me to make an effort to go out of my way to get her on the project, almost like to bless the project in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And how about her book Handsworth Times for you? How did that impact you and the ideas and the inspiration that you did to be able to put something like this on?
So if anyone hasn't read her book, it's called The Handsworth Times, and it's set in the Handsworth and Lascelles riots of the 80s. And she's right. What mostly struck me, although the story's very poignant, what mostly engaged me with the work is how she writes. So she writes in terms of like how your like cha-cha would speak, or like how like your uncle from who had his like heyday in the 80s and you can't stop going on about it, how they would speak, and like the Birmingham Indian accent, sort of, you know, like that type of thing. She's put it into words, and she's put it into somebody can probably help me out with what that word is to actually put colloquial language into what. So that's what really drew me, her use of language and the pride in the local dialect. Yeah. That's what really drew me to her. Yeah.
I think language is very much a big part of this whole project. Whether it's the language from the books, and even translating as well into the different languages. So language is definitely a big theme within this project. Okay, now we're going to hear from one of our artists. So please put your hands together for Raj.
Where is she? Please come up onto the stage.
Please come onto the stage, Raj. Continue giving her a hand clap.
Big round of applause. She put in a lot of work. Over here.
Yeah, just the seat over there.
Okay. Oh, next to the big man.
Yes, next to the main man, Sergeant.
Yeah.
All right, Masi. This is also Masi, by the way. Like if people didn't know, it's on Masi. It's a family affair.
What's the word in English?
Auntie.
Auntie.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Auntie. Okay, amazing. So this is Raj. Hi, Raj.
Hello.
It's good to have you, and we know that we have a song from you. Can you please introduce it? We are going to hear it on the screen.
Okay.
Bit closer to the mic.
That much?
To your mouth, yeah.
Hello.
Put it closer.
Is that better?
Bit more.
I'm not very used to this. It's something very new. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yes, this
Good,
is
that's
fine.
good, that's good.
Need a volume more, a little bit down on my corner.
Yes, please. We're going to listen to Raj now. Okay.
It's actually, hello everyone.
Oh,
Hello everyone. It's actually a poem. It's called A Song for the Seamstress. As you all know, it's mainly about life in the garment factories. If we go back right from the 60s and 70s, we had a lot of immigrant labor which worked in the garment factories. I'm sure there's many a family here who had either a friend or an aunt or a mother or grandmother who worked in this kapde factory.
Yes.
And as you all must be aware, well, most of you must be aware, the conditions in these factories, in these garment textile places, were very, very despicable. They were underpaid, they were overworked, they didn't have any regular breaks, there was verbal abuse, there was all sorts of manipulation and exploitation. So my poem, in very simple words, tries to capture all that. And before you all see me or hear me reciting the poem, I want to say a very big thank you to Sergeant for making me a part of the Reflections Gallery project. And of course, to the lovely lady there, Riche. Have I got your name right?
Yes, you
Riche.
have.
So thank you, both of you. Really grateful, for
Thank you.
giving me the opportunity. Okay?
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now we are going to hear Song
Wait.
of the Seamstress.
I think before we start this, what you'll notice is the location of where we filmed this, isn't that right, Massey?
Yeah.
I dragged her into an old abandoned sewing factory. The roof caved in, the stairs were all rotten, the whole thing was caved through, and Massey was a good sport. She sat there amongst all the rubble, and she said, "Thank you, Massey." And she, but all I did to it, because a day or two after that, it was knocked down. So we managed to get in there just before it got knocked down. So it was an experience, wasn't it, Massey? Okay.
Oh, it was.
And we were gonna enjoy
I
it.
won't forget it.
Yeah, never forget that. Never forget that.
इसको ना डाले करूँगा गालियाँ तुम पानी तुम इटालिया this one hospital road
Walls have ears, but if they could speak, many a tale they would relate of aching backs and leaden feet, of the whir and hum of the sewing machines. On the dusty floor, murky halls, plaster peeling off the walls. Oh, if only these walls could speak of the endless grind, day and night, no holidays, no respite. Ah, wait, a glimmer of light, a cup of chai, some gupshup, some music, some dance would their day enhance, and then back to the whir and grind of the sewing machines. So for a better tomorrow, stitch by stitch, seam upon seam, pile upon pile, at the piecework rate, overworked and underpaid in this dungeon of drudgery.
I hope so. I don't want to do it again.
Well done, Massey.
That was fantastic, Raj. And I know just earlier, Raj is just having a little side conversation. But amazing. I'm sure everyone
Massey,
is
can we have
telling
your
you how
focus,
amazing. Everyone wants to tell you how amazing that was, and I know just before we saw it, you spoke about your experience of actually going. This poem, have you written poems before? Did it come naturally? How was that process?
I have written poems before on various themes, on various subjects and all, but I try like mostly to focus sometimes on social issues or anything on the current affairs, theme, or sometimes it can get personal, or sometimes I get inspired by people like Sarjan, by people's stories, little anecdotes or their experiences here and back home, where they belong. Either it could be India, it could be Pakistan, it could be any of the European countries, anywhere. So I get inspiration from like different areas and different aspects of life.
Amazing. And I have heard that you have another poem on the project. So if you can just tell us a bit more about that other one, what is the name and what was the inspiration behind that?
Oh, I think it's the
Labourer's Lament.
It's called A Labourer's Lament. And I was just inspired by the plight of some of the migrant labourers and the immigrants who come here to the UK looking for a better life and to provide for their families back home, especially in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even now recently, some of them, or quite a few of them, they leave their families behind in little villages or in little towns from all across the globe, mostly the Commonwealth countries. And they come here and they work so hard in very dire circumstances with meager wages and all. So, just thinking of them and talking to a couple of them, that was my inspiration for this poem.
Very nice.
Amazing. Thank you, Raj. Give it up for Raj, everyone. Thank you so much, Raj. It was good to hear from you, your purpose behind the poem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Give her another hand as she goes to her seat. Okay, so now we are going to hear from the second artist of the night. So I'd like you to give it up for Afijam. Come on, keep it going, keep it going.
This one's a very special one as well.
She hasn't sat down yet, keep it going, keep it going.
No pressure.
Hi, how are you? You good?
I'm not migraine, but I'm still here.
What's new?
Bless you. So this is Afijam. Afijam, we're going to hear one of your poems, one of your songs. If you could please introduce it, the name, the title, the purpose, the meaning behind it.
Okay, so the piece is called Civic. I wrote, sung and produced it myself, and it's about just the general neglect, especially within the city, but the past 2 years I've seen it firsthand on how cuts to the council has meant there's a lot of issues within the area, and so whether it's homelessness or drug abuse or the fly tipping or the HMOs or asylum seekers or just the rubbish in general, it just seems like there's an air of neglect, and so it's just the lack of civic duty, and that's what the piece is about. So I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. We're going to hear it now.
You and your pigeons.
the options on the chessboard. Unfortunate story.
Amazing. Oh, keep forgetting to put the microphone back on. Give me a thought to Afi Jam. That was fantastic, and that was just a short clip, actually, of the full version. As I've mentioned earlier, this is just a preview. So if you would like to see the full versions of any of these, please come along to the launch that will happen in a couple of weeks. Afi Jam, please talk to us and talk us through the process for you when it came to recording something like this, because it's not just straightforward. I know there's some like stacking of vocals there, and I know you are an artist. So please just talk us through that.
So I guess for me at first, it was just what did the brief mean to me. So like when Sergeant had approached me and said he wanted me to make a piece of music, I really had to sit for a long time and figure out what I wanted to talk about. And so for me, it started with the lyrics, and then I was making loads and loads and loads of different tracks and just thinking, okay, what music actually fits with these lyrics? And then when I found like a little loop of music that worked, I then said, okay, cool, I'm gonna build on this. And then I started thinking about melodies. And yeah, so like I would think of a melody and I'd be like, I need to change this little bit of the music. And then I'd like make a piece of music that, or like I'd add a section in the music that was a mistake, and I'd be like, oh, actually that's cute, so I'm gonna shoehorn that in. And then so I'd make the melody work to that piece as well. So when you listen to the whole thing, there's a bit of a journey, but it matches like how the topic evolved for me as well. So yeah, and for the vocals, well, because my road is just as loud as this, when I was recording the vocals, like I'd hear the ice cream van, I'd have to stop. I'm like, okay, cool, right, it's gone. And then, you know, Sarah and Jim are having a fight outside, right, okay, that's done. And then cats will start fighting, so actually it took ages, but you know what, it was worth it.
I think that's the beauty of Handsworth sometimes. It's just always noisy, so is my street. So I think that's just one of the things. As you mentioned, one of the themes that you do talk about, and you mentioned it previously as well, as you were introducing it, is fly tipping. And I've heard that that's something that's really close to you, as you've had some work within that as well, like clearing up. So please just talk to us about that.
Okay, so when COVID hit, like I moved to Scotland, it was all crazy, and then I was like trapped up there. And like during that time, there was lots of fly tipping happening at the back of my nan's house, and it was like 2 years worth of fly tipping. It was higher than the fences, and people had like complained to the council over and over again, and they said that essentially it's private land, or it's like it's not their land, and so they don't have the duty to clear it up, and so they couldn't even put aside any funding or anything like that. Eventually I moved back to Birmingham, and it got to the point where the ward councillor was involved, and the council basically said that they will help as long as we clean it up ourselves. They'll give us like the trucks. So we created a constituted group, and it was like just volunteers from the area. I was the treasurer. It was wild because we was doing like we had to fundraise because we needed to get new gates. We actually need to clear up, and then we needed to get like in jet washers and stuff. And then we also had like a event at the end with like people from the community, and we had food and music, and it was cute to see it like all clean. But like leading up to that point, it was a feat. There was like used needles everywhere. There were homeless people breaking into the back of garages and living there. There was a certain type of work going on back there, and it was a massive like environmental issue, and there were lots of like different agencies we had to get involved, and it was a year and a half of like just going and going and going and going, and but yeah, we reached the goal. So
that's amazing work. Can you please give it up for the work that she did in regards to that? That's fantastic. Honestly, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you have to like structure and organize everything. So honestly, well done for the work that you did in regards to that. Amazing. And just going back to the clip that we saw, I know yourself and Sarge did the filming for that. I know that you're a skateboarder. So how did you?
Longboarder
I'm not
still.
a skateboarder. I'm a longboarder. I have to say it so no one,
How did you incorporate that into the footage, into the filming? And Sarge as well, you can.
Yeah, you can start with this.
All right. Yeah. So in what we did, we filmed over three days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what we did, the first night we visited all the areas. I say areas, all the streets around there where the fly tipping is really bad, and we. I asked Alima to longboard past past these fly tipping zones. And when you see the full video, you will actually see that we're going to superimpose them against each other, so it looks like she's, it's a perpetual motion through all these areas, through all these backdrops. So even if you go to the old Muhammad Ali Centre, which is one of the places that we went to, it's a amazing place to go to because it's a completely forgotten about road, and there was so much history in that centre. Muhammad Ali himself, I'm sure some people here remember when he opened that. Like my dad remembers over there, don't you, Dad? He told me, you remember when he came here on Soul Road, opened that. So then, when you actually go there now, you see the neglect, and that ties into obviously civic neglect, and we've used that as a metaphor, a visual metaphor, to talk about asylum and talk about all these other things. So yeah, we tried to tie it in like that, didn't we? And it was a very much like collaborative thing. So yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I'd add to that though is like longboarding for me is like, yeah, it's fun, but it's also a means of travel, and I guess it's faster than walking but slower than being on in a car or in a bus, and so you end up going to places that you wouldn't typically go if you were walking or on a bus. So I might take that scary alleyway because I know I can get to the end of it
faster.
But it also means that I see things that I haven't seen before, like the neglected places, and so I feel like that's why it was important for me as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Afrijan. Please give it up for her. Thank you so much. Continue going as she goes back to her seat.
Yes, a big round of applause, please. A lot of effort went into this one.
Yes.
Produced, sung, written, songwriter, singer, dancer, longboarder, graphic designer, artist.
Just singing your praises. It's good to do so, though.
100%.
Definitely good to do so. Okay, so we are going to hear from our next artist. It's Shano.
We've got Shano in the house. I can see we're looking fresh.
Shano.
Looking fresh as always.
Right?
How you doing, bro? Looking good, man. Looking good. Look at his
You can do better than that. Come on, give it up for Shano.
Come all the way from Perry Bar,
All the way from Perry Bar. Welcome, Shano. Thank you for joining us here. So, as you know, we're going to be going into...
Give thanks to the bread and watch. Yes.
Oh, you like the watch, yeah?
Yes, he's looking very, very, very good,
Very
isn't
sharp,
he?
very sharp.
Bread and a watch.
Very
Amazing,
sharp, very sharp.
amazing. Yes.
I'm good. Yeah. Bread and a watch.
Okay,
All right.
amazing.
You're embarrassing,
Alright.
you're embarrassing him now, my friend.
Yes. Okay, can we have some
Decorum,
comedy
some decorum.
in the audience, please?
Django.
Okay, amazing. Thank you. So, Shano,
Yep.
please introduce your piece and just give a background to it.
So basically, my piece was in regards to internationalism, and the whole concept of the piece was really trying to merge together some of the issues and some of the political situation that we've got in the local area, and try and combine it to the far and wide, the whole wider world, and like really try and make people realize that some of the issues that we have in here are also some of the issues that that are also apparent throughout the world, and there's actually a huge link between them, and the common link between them, and the big problem between like some of the issues in like throughout the world and like locally is imperialism, and how it has this kind of firm grip on the people, and really like the idea of the piece was to try and make people realize that, like, if you try and shake the shackles of imperialism, really the people can liberate themselves.
Amazing, thank you, Shano. We are now going to view a clip of internationalism.
Wait, hold on. So this one, it was gonna be a recital, innit?
Yeah.
So have you got what you want ready? So still play it. It's just background music. It's just background music. Like still play it though.
So what's going to happen now? We're going to have. Sorry.
Is it your Rode mic? Is it the Rode mic?
Yeah, Rode mic.
Great.
Whenever you're ready, man. Yeah.
I cannot overlook past the huge number of expensively built buildings, the closure of public services like community centres and libraries, and the welfare cuts the local areas faced. Birmingham has declared itself bankrupt essentially, and is facing a bleak future with these changes that will surely impact our standard of living. It's the same government that seemed to have enough money in manufacture of aircrafts and weapons that are used against the people of Gaza. These facts highlight a certain issue that the powers that be that affect our day-to-day lives is an attached, all-controlling limb to a multi-headed war machine that subjugates and causes damage throughout the world using imperial force.
Amazing, thank you, Shano. However, I'm going to ask you to do that again, please, because we did start off a little bit funny, but if you don't mind coming into the center and using my mic. Yep, perfect. Give it up for Shano.
Give it up, please. Yes.
1 second. Do you want to do it without the music?
Yeah, probably
Okay,
better
forget
without
the music.
yeah. So as I look around the area, I cannot overlook past a huge number of expensively built buildings, the closure of public services like community centres and libraries, and the welfare cuts the local areas faced. Birmingham has declared itself bankrupt essentially, and is facing a bleak future with these changes that will surely impact our standard of living. It is the same government that seemed to have enough money in manufacture of aircrafts and weapons that are used against the people of Gaza. These facts highlight a certain issue that the powers that be that affect our day-to-day lives is an attached, all-controlling limb to a multi-headed war machine that subjugates and causes damage throughout the world using imperial force.
Please give it up for Shano.
Thank you, Shano. Okay, Shano. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about the footage that we did for your poem. And I know Sergeant and I were there, and I know you guys got into a bit of trouble, actually, when it comes to filming some of the footage. So please just, both of you can talk about that.
So we were recording by the Birmingham City University, and I don't know if you guys are aware that it's all closed off, gated off. A couple of years ago, for the Commonwealth Games, a lot of high-rise apartment buildings were built for the athletes. Now, they were supposed to be built for the community. They were supposed to be built so that, you know, like, could serve the community as like more housing, more available housing, affordable housing. That's what they were billed as. But in reality, what has happened is like, none of these buildings are in use. They're completely empty. We've got a huge number of buildings that nobody is living in. So what me and Sergeant thought, we'd go film actually in the campus itself. So what we did was we climbed over the gates to go into the campus, and yeah, we were able to record all the footage that we wanted pretty much. But yeah, like, I think maybe about 20 minutes in, the security guards came and yeah, they kicked us out, but they were quite aggressive in their manner. So Sergeant had his camera confiscated. They were quite aggressive in the way that they confiscated.
We got it back though, innit?
I know.
They got it back?
We got it back. Don't worry, people. We got it back. We escaped with our lives. Fight another day.
From the skin of your teeth, right? Like, just about. I mean, they were slacking if it took them 20 minutes to get.
True.
Yeah, no, there was like one guy. He literally came in, and like he was there. He was one of the security guards.
So we thought it was live, innit?
Yeah, like we thought. I don't know. Is he a worker? What's he doing? Like, why is he like? You know, he's just standing there. Like, he's very lax on his job, basically. He was just there.
But you were able to get the footage that you needed.
The footage that we needed. So that was the main thing.
Yeah.
There's actually a really nice basketball court on
very nice
campus
one.
itself.
I think there was some in the footage
Yeah,
actually.
there's
Yeah.
some in the footage as well. So, yeah, like it's like a whole campus that was built for the community that is not even serving the community.
Yeah.
And that's the main point about you know, like some of the filming that we've done. It's basically to try and represent that. Really, if you look at Perry Bar, it's become some sort of like rundown type of area in which, you know, there's been a lot of gentrification. The division between the rich and the poor is getting wider and wider. You look at certain things like you know, like for example, like the education system and how classrooms are overfilled with students. They're not getting that standard of education that they deserve. If you look at doctors' surgeries, GP surgeries, you know, they have to take on more and more patients, and people aren't getting the healthcare that they deserve. It's just some of the facts of life in the local area, and it's one of those things that I think, you know, we have to realize and, you know, highlight attention to some of these things, because you know, like if people become aware of these things, and, you know, like they can collectively try and solve problems better.
Exactly, and I wanted to touch on actually one of the things that you mentioned with gentrification within Perry Bar. How has that affected you personally, and other areas as well, other issues as well that you see within the area?
So one of the things that, like, you know, like housing is not affordable for people in Perry Bar now. Like, you know, if you look at like the average wage of the person in Perry Bar, and you look at, you know, the cost of housing, people are having to move out of the area. Now, some of these people have lived here in the area for, you know, like you're talking generations and generations, and there's such a cultural diversity in the area as well, like people from various different backgrounds. And if they're having to move out based on, you know, the fact that the cost of living is just becoming unaffordable, it's just something that, like, when does this bubble burst? Like, this gentrification bubble, is it, you know, going to continue? And what's going to happen to the community? Where are they going to go? Is it going to separate families? Is it going to, you know, separate friends from each other? It's just something that's changing everyone's life day by day, and, you know, it's sad to see. So I think, yeah, it's quite important that we become aware of these things.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Shano. And one last thing, because one of the things I know that you like love to do is to travel around the world. So what are some of the things that you've seen on your travels?
So, like, I went on a one-year trip to South America a couple of years ago, and really, you know, like the purpose of the trip at the beginning was just to travel around, but eventually what it became was really, I grew this passion of kind of going into indigenous communities and visiting, like, for example, I visited a tribe in Ecuador, just to kind of spend a few days with them, see what their way of life is like. And since then, I think it's just become a passion of mine to go try and learn different languages and go and speak to these people in you know, like in their natural habitat, in their you know, like in the indigenous communities.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's something that, like, I'm really quite fond of.
Yeah.
Recently, I went to Iraq as well, and to see some of the people that live on the marshes. It's like a tribe that you know, like feed off buffalo milk, and, you know, like they've got a lot of farming going on. So just these kind of things, I think it's you know, like it kind of humbles yourself in terms of, like, you know, in a way, we've got everything handed to us. Like from myself, from my perspective, like I've had everything handed to me on a plate. So yeah, really, I think like going into these kind of communities is like a bit of an awakening. So yeah, it's something that I encourage a lot of people to do, to try and just branch out, travel a lot more, and see what's out there.
Amazing. Thank you, Shano. Give it up for Shano. Thank you so much for coming and performing as well. Keep it going, keep it going.
Thank you, Shano. Big shout out. Thank you. Spoke very eloquently, I think, on certain topics, especially about Perry Barley. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, so we're going to hear from Sergeant now.
Are we?
Yes, we are. Because what it is, he's going to be reciting something written by JJ, who is not here today.
No, JJ is here, but between me and him, I think we decided I would like to recite some of his work, and then he'll come up and talk about it as well. Yeah.
Amazing. So can we welcome JJ then?
Yes, come on, JJ.
Keep it going.
And look at his t-shirt, everyone.
Straight out of Handsworth. Welcome, JJ. So, thank you. Talk about what your piece is called and the meaning behind it and the process as well.
So, the piece is called Handsworth Revolution, which kind of speaks for itself, I guess. If you know about the classic album I Still Pulse, for example, I think if you know about the history of the area, you'll know that there's a lot of history of revolutionary activity in Handsworth. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because I remember various things from when I was younger. I don't live in Handsworth anymore. I still come back fairly regular because I have family here. And when I look around, I see a lot of stuff that's changed, and it makes me think, I'm like, hold on, it wasn't like this when I was a kid. Where's that gone?
Anything notable?
I mean, the main thing for me is, as an outsider coming in now, I don't see as much community organizing as I used to when I was a kid. I used to work at Handsworth Play Center, for example, and we had a lot of stuff coming out of there where we'd have like workshops for young people. It was kind of like, it was a safe space, I guess.
Yeah.
And I look around, I'm like, oh, where are the safe spaces for the kids now?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, JJ. Sergeant, gonna hand it over to you. And Sergeant is going to recite. Please come into the middle of the stage.
All right, let me find my favorite part of it. Or everything's my favorite part of this one, to be fair. All right, let's have some peace and quiet for this one. It's a very important one. Okay. All right, we'll start with this part because it's relevant to the Commonwealth Games. All right. So JJ writes, when the Commonwealth Games rolled around and all eyes were on us, we were treated to a fresh lick of paint and some superficial cleaning. Let the rest of the world see an acceptable image. But once those eyes were off us, we were again forgotten, ignored. Promises made to the people of North Birmingham were pulled away. Again, treating us like children, high five, to the side, down below, too slow. Then expressing anger when we react negatively. And with the Birmingham City Council's highly publicised financial issues, how can we be expected to hold them accountable? And while I say that, let's all like give it up to say, let's save Handsworth Library because we don't want to lose that important community aspect in this area. So, but once too slow. Even those promises, did most of them benefit the people of North Birmingham? Where are the plans for new youth centres? Where are the plans for new educational facilities? Where are the plans for improved public transport? Perry Bar Station aside. Where are the plans for accessible community facilities for sport and leisure? Instead, we've got roadworks and fancy apartments. For who? And this after they built the Commonwealth Games, like any other success they can claim on our backs. And then I'm just going to fast forward to the last paragraph. It's like a message of hope. So this poem, I'd say it's like half a lament, I think you'd agree, JJ, and half is like a hopeful note. So the last paragraph goes like this. But the flame hasn't been extinguished, even as they stamp on what to them might appear to be dying embers, we still glow. Now we must breathe life back again into that flame, let it become a raging fire once more. We must take action, agitate your neighbours, remind them what is at stake, organise with your local community and fight back against racism and imperialism. FRFI are one of the many groups in the city attempting to organise alongside disaffected people and foster those connections that are necessary for us to outlast. We cannot allow the ruling class to grind us into dust. We must band together and resist. We have done it before, after all. In the Handsworth I remember from my youth. And that's from JJ Beardsmore.
Give it up for JJ and to Sergeant as well for reciting that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So JJ, because I know both your and Charnel's piece touch on the Commonwealth Games and the impact of that. So can you just talk more about your opinion on that, surrounding that, and what has come from that?
So, I mean, to be honest, Sean more covered it better than I would, so. But basically, I was talking about the apartments and stuff, like, same thing. They built these, but no one's using them. And then at the same time, they want to talk about there's a social housing crisis. Well, whose fault is that? You know, they sold off all the social housing stock, and then they allow people to build these apartments, but they're not affordable for local people. So what did they think was going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the bottom line is, everything that came with the Commonwealth Games, yeah, it was a fun event. It brought everyone's attention to Birmingham for a little while, which, you know, nice, because Birmingham doesn't really shout about itself. That's, you know, that's why we don't get any of the investments that like Manchester gets, for example.
Yeah.
But once that's done, there was no lasting legacy. There was nothing here for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was just
Sorry. Just faded you out.
So it's just like, okay, while other people from outside the area are here to have fun, let's make it nice. Like they even like moved all the homeless people out of the city centre, for example. They didn't put them up in accommodation. They just told them, "Get out of the city centre so people don't see you." You know, and this is the point. They kind of like they sweep everything under the rug and just kind of leave us alone. And for me, I'm looking around again. I don't look it, but I'm almost 40 years old. So
yeah,
you don't.
I've seen a lot of change in my lifetime. So I've seen the different changes that have happened and the different waves of immigration and how that's further led to increased ghettoification of Handsworth.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember even when I was a kid, people would say, "Oh, you're from Handsworth." Ooh. And
yeah.
It's gotten worse and worse and worse. And the more they kind of reinforce that image, the easier it is for them to ignore us.
Mm-hmm.
So the Commonwealth Games is a perfect example of this. While everyone was looking, they're like, no, these areas are nice. Then the second they're not looking, they don't care anymore.
Yeah. Once there's eyes fixed on it, it's beautified, but afterwards, it's neglected completely. I completely understand. JJ, I know for your piece there is footage, but we haven't shown it today. But I do know that, you know, part of it.
We've got it.
We do have it.
Yeah,
Are we going to show it?
Yeah, you know, I think we were meant to show it when I was talking, but I was standing in front of it, so.
Okay, it'd be good to have it. Can we have it played?
Yeah, do you know what? Let's have that.
Yeah,
we can talk about it. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah. 7 years. Yeah. Suppose we can talk while.
Yeah, we can talk while this is
on. So this is a brand new mural by iCreate. It's at iCreate Not Destroy on Instagram, and he painted this beautiful mural of the late great Benjamin Zephaniah. So we filmed a lot of JJ's piece in front of it. Just I think it was it like
off the top of my head, but if you do a quick Google search, you can find out, and it's about changing the outlook of and celebrating the birth of girls in our communities, especially in the South Asian communities where it's frowned upon, sometimes even mourned. And I think that's quite heartbreaking to know that there are girls out there who are born into a family not welcomed in the same way that boys are. So making sure that how sweets are distributed for boys, that the parents and their families and those communities make an additional effort to distribute pink labdoos in particular, to make sure that those families are saying and bowing. I love the fact that I have a daughter. I will cherish that daughter forever, and I will make sure that nobody, even all the family that I'm distributing it to, they all know that I love my daughter so much and as an equal to my son. And it's also about vouching for like eliminating patriarchy problems that are in our families as well. You know, like certain customs are favouring males over females, and making sure that women have a voice. They use that voice, they use their community to help support each other and to make sure that they are like understood and they're not alone going through it, and they don't have to go through these things alone. So it was just really nice seeing that. I know that they have an Instagram account. They've also released 2 books. One which is about South Asian stories, about wonderful women in the South Asian community. And there's another one that's about how Santa Claus's reindeers were actually girls and they're not boys, because it's not just like a fact of like during winter the only ones that wouldn't lose their antlers were like females, and like it's something that's so overlooked. It's so random, but like it's the fact that it's overlooked and everyone just assumes it's about boys and these boys are such hard workers. But it's actually, these reindeers in the stories are females and they work hard throughout the entire Christmas night, so like actual presents can be given. And it's just like silly things like that, how much of an impact it can have to a young girl's upbringing, as well as other things that happen throughout our customs and stuff. It's just nice seeing that the Pink Ladoo project actually amplifies and helps with those issues.
Amazing, thank you, Wahida. So that's the Pink Ladoo, that's LADOO project. So if you want to check that out, please do.
Can I just also add, I did see on their website, they say that you can order Pink Ladoos from Milan, just on this road here as well.
Oh,
so
really?
You can actually get the Pink Ladoos from this street here as a way of celebrating young girls.
Thank you so much, Wahida. Please give it up for Wahida, and also Rajni in her absence, as she has told her story. She's been very vulnerable. So thank you so much, Wahida. So keep it going, keep it going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wahida. Thank you so much.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you so much. So we're coming towards the end of this part now. Remember, as I said at the beginning, if there are any questions, we are going to have a Q&A section. So just get them ready. We are now going to go into the zines and talking more about this. So Sergeant, over to you.
Okay, well, for anyone who doesn't know what a zine is, it's basically, if you think of a magazine, it's like a little tiny version of a magazine. So you can have photos in it. It tends to be like very cheaply made, so it can be distributed very widely amongst everybody. So what we're doing for this project, for the main launch, we're going to have free zines given for everybody with all the photos, or well, like a selection of the photos that you see here. We've been working with a studio called Shelby X Studios, and they are a political zine artist slash activist type group. And if you look over there, I don't know if you can crane your necks a little bit. On the left side of that column of pictures, you can see some of the artwork there, and we're going to have it on the big screen as well so you can see it. But if you do get a chance, have a look, because there's a little write-up there that explains a bit more about it. And for each of the characters that you see today, whether that be the artists or the people they're talking about, we've got little avatars that have been made of them, unique avatars. So you can see, like, there's a tree lady, there's like a tree lady to represent roots, trying to plant her roots in a new country. You've got the rapper Sitcho, you've got a delivery driver, you've got all sorts. So half the people involved in the project we haven't included today because it's just a preview. So all these exciting people you will see on the main launch. So please do come down for that. But the zines themselves are a great way of getting things out there, getting messages out there, and we'll be using it to, promote the poems and things like that. So it'll be free to everybody in the whole community. You can just come to the library inside, take one, pass it along to your friends and family, etc. So yeah, we were very keen to do that.
Yes. Now we're going to hear from Grace from Shelby X Studios, who helped with the zines.
Hello, my name's Grace Cress. I run a platform called Shelby X Studios, and I've been working on the zine for Reflections. It's been really interesting working to try and visualise the content of the zine through illustrations depicting different social issues that are highlighted throughout. The front cover, which is a day scene in Handsworth, includes imagery highlighting the exhaustion of Uber drivers, homelessness and the lack of affordable housing, vacant apartments in Perry Bar, and the impact of the clean air zone and how it's meant people can't really afford to go to the city centre anymore. It mentions council cuts and the closure of local libraries, as well as local campaigns by FRFI, Fight Racism, Fight Imperialism, who are trying to tackle the housing crisis and raise awareness of global movements like that to liberate Palestine. In addition to the social justice issues, it also aims to highlight the community's resistance to them. It depicts protesters on the street, the power of music and local people who are working to build community roots as reflected in the mural. On the back cover is a moonlit night scene. It depicts the isolation of migrant and refugee mothers who are struggling to make ends meet and battling the system with Home Office paperwork laid across the desk. Outside the window you can see a delivery driver, again a visual cue to the gig economy. Between two trees amongst piled rubbish bags is a skater boarding through the street. A tree woman strides across the background, and the starry night sky is a vision of hope despite it all. I really hope you enjoy the visuals of the zine and that we can even attempt to do the amazing music and poetry justice.
Give it up for Grace from Shelby X Studios. A big thank you to them for providing these. Sergeant, why was it important to work with Shelby X Studios?
I think, could we get that back up on the screen? It might be, okay, there you go, perfect. So it was important for me to work with these guys because I'd seen their work before. They do zines like, I think they did one recently called Love Letters to Palestine. And they do all sorts of political zines, but what I like about them is it's not a dry way of representing politics. It's a very careful and a very precious way of trying to get messages across in a very relatable way. So if we look here, there's Afi Jam, she was speaking earlier. She's the longboarder, and in the background you can see these two trees. So this is actually off Bolton Road, if anyone knows Bolton Road. There's actually a road there, and they've got these two trees, and it almost looks like, if anyone's seen Lord of the Rings, where like they go into the mountain of Moria, and like, you see the trees. It's a bit of a nerdy reference, but that's kind of what it looks like with these trees. So in real life, if you go there, it actually looks like that. So and then on the left-hand side, we've got a silhouette of this is an artist called Munni. And she's an artist who was writing her piece, and as she did that, she lost her job. She was on a work visa, living in Spring Hill. So within 6 weeks, she had to go back. So she now lives in Mumbai, going through all that stress, and she wrote her Reflections piece, which you can hear on the main launch. And this is a depiction of her. In her head, she wrote in her poem about trying to plant her roots, walking through the jewellery quarter, from Hockley and from Spring Hill, and this is Grace's representation of that. And in the bottom left corner you can see Rajani with her baby. On the right hand side you can see the Deliveroo driver, which is another person who's involved, the Home Office letters, and then if you can go to the front page as well. It might be a bit difficult. Okay, there we go. So this is the front cover, and so I designed a lot of this with Grace as well. So obviously you can see Reflections there. You can see the Community Roots mural, which I think everyone knows if you're going past the flyover going from Handsworth to Aston. So we filmed there. There's a rapper sit show there. There's a lady who's spray painting over the clean air zone sign, and then what we wanted to do was show the difference between the suburbs and the outer parts of the city compared to the inner, wealthier part of the city. So in the background you can see obviously the Selfridge building, the BT Tower, all looming, and in the foreground you can see the terracotta typical brick housing on the left of Handsworth, and it's a bit small, but you can. When you see the zines, there's a lot of little details that you'll pick up on, and then to the right of that is the Perry Bar flats that Shauna was talking about, how they're very unaffordable, and there's all sorts of details. Here in the right proper foreground is a delivery driver who wanted me. He didn't want to do a poem. He didn't want to do a song. He wanted me to do a short silent film, following him as he does a day of delivery. So we made a little short story about that as well. So that's why zines are so important, because they give you this artistic license to show this scene of like North Birmingham and Handsworth, Perry Bar, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Of course, and you mentioned that obviously these would be available for the launch, and they will be free. So why was it important to make these free to give away?
So I think as soon as you put like a price on something, you're automatically excluding a lot of people, and you know, say if we were in Sutton Coldfield or something like that, I'd be charging for these zines. but no, it's important just for accessibility.
Yeah.
Obviously, on the project, we've got the 6 different languages other than English, and we've also been trying to work with Braille and BSL. So fingers crossed that's something we can explore as well. So this is just another arm of the accessibility octopus, yeah.
Amazing, thank you. Once again, give it up for Grace from Shelby X Studios for those. And make sure you come along to the launch so you can also get your hands on one of those zines. So we're coming towards the end now, where we will be going to you guys. If you have any questions from anything that you've heard, you want to ask, even if it's for one of us up here or one of the artists that are here, anything about the images. I don't know if you guys know, you probably do, but the person who's responsible for all these images here is the main man, Sergeant, right here. So not only did he put on Reflections Gallery, but he is also a photographer, and so he's put these images together as well. So once again, give it up for Sergeant. Give it up for Sergeant.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming down.
Yes. So, do we have any questions from the audience? Don't be shy. I'll give you the mic.
For this project?
Okay, so the question is, how long did it take to put this project together, Sergeant?
Okay, well, if we put it to the time when I got Rashay involved, when was that? Was that like last year sometime?
Like January.
January. Okay, about half a year ago. So
half a year ago.
So before that was me being so overwhelmed with everything that I needed another pair of hands. So before that, this work has been probably about 5 to 6 years in the making, and even before that, even probably longer, to be honest, probably 10 years if I'm talking about the thoughts developing in my mind. It's probably been much longer than 5 to 6 years. So so yeah, that's the answer. I think about 5 to 6 years, and I think everybody, as I said before, everybody knows me, knows I carry this pouch everywhere, and people call me a market trader, and they say all sorts of stuff about this pouch, but this pouch gets me places, man. But now that's where the camera lives. So yeah. How old am I now? What shall I say, Rashay? We get asked this a lot, you know, and we always play it down. No, I'm 32. I'm 32.
Oh, you did before marriage. Do this job.
Here we go.
There we go. You knew the question was going to come. But yes, it's been about, you said 10 years in the making, and then when it came to Reflections Gallery, when did that start?
I say Reflections Gallery, the idea for that, probably about a couple of years, maybe 2 to 3 years. And the reason it's been so long is because it's been so difficult to get funding and to get backers and to get, stuff like that, because now it's only me and Rashay. Before that, it was only me. And now we have all these artists involved and stuff like that. So, we've got this tent, we've got this TV, we've got this, but it was, that's why it's been so difficult, because as I'm sure other artists here know, it's very difficult nowadays, especially with the way social media's gone, to get your work out there and to get recognised, etc. It's every part of it is like a proper slug. But saying that, since we've met like loads of people from the community, like for example Shannon over there from Breakthrough TV and New Style, they've helped us so much. Jog Festival, where we are right now, there's all sorts of community avenues that you can explore. And Rashay helping with like, if anyone doesn't know, Rashay runs I Just Finished Work podcast, and that's what that banner is up there. So please follow her at I Just Finished Work. So even seeing people like Rashay, people like Wahida, all sorts of people, like the people who are involved in this project, like Rahul, Marshall, these are all people that I've met through the project, like taking photos of them, and like even like Rashay, me and Rashay went to the same primary school. There's loads of things that you can do in your local area, but
a lot of talent.
A lot of talent.
A lot of talent. Areas. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah. Oh, hello, Melissa.
See what I'm saying? It's a family affair. Here, come and sit down. No.
Yes, beautiful dress.
Come on, you're edging closer. You might as well.
Yeah.
You know you wanted to.
So a question for you, Rashay. Okay. You've been a lovely host, by the way. So
thank you.
Yeah. Please give it up for Rashay, everybody.
Thank you.
So we want to learn much about your experience, really. So I was wondering, what was the biggest challenge for you working on this project, and also how have these stories impacted you as a person, but also as a creative?
Okay,
that.
Very good question. Thanks, Melissa.
I like that.
So a bit about me. So my day job is HR. I'm in HR. I've been doing that for about 7 years. And then at the end of last year, one of my contracts ended, and that's how I started linking up with Sergeant again, because I was working on some other things, and Sergeant was working on this, and then he asked me if I could help out. And when he first told me, I don't think I really understood what he was, like, the gravity of what he was putting on here. And he asked for some assistance, some help. And first it was to do with the translation. So it was getting the different artworks into the 6 languages. And honestly, like at first glance, at first thought, you think that would be very straightforward, you know, finding an agency, finding someone to put them into the different languages. But even that was a bit of a hiccup, and it hiccuped like throughout the time. So I wouldn't say that was so much of a strong difficulty, but it was somewhat of a challenge. Secondly, he put me in charge of media, communications and engagement, and I've never done that before. Even though I have the podcast and things, but I've never like headed up and had to reach out to like radio station, things like that. I've never had to do that before. So I was really put on the spot. And that has been, I won't even say that was a challenge, that was such a great learning curve. Like the way Sergeant and I remember one day I had the idea because I was contacting a few radio stations, a few people. I wasn't really hearing back from anyone. And I was like, Sergeant, we're going to go knock on some doors and we're just going to go. And the worst they can say is, no, go away. And luckily, like no one said that. Like everyone welcomed us. Shannon from New Style Radio being one of them welcomed us, allowed us to come in. And then look, he's here now live streaming for us for Breakthrough TV, by the way. So while there was like a few challenges and a few, you know, goalposts we had to hit, it was all worth it, and it's definitely built me professionally. Like I said, like as you know, I am in HR, but this was also something else that I can say, wow, I've done this, you know, like I never even thought I'd be doing that this year, but look at that, I've done it, and it was amazing. And also hearing the art, the pieces as well, I had to hear them, read through them quite a few times, and it was great. I think sometimes when you're from an area, sometimes you don't really focus on the talent in that area. I don't know about you guys, even like some places when you've lived somewhere your whole life. I mean, I was born in Handsworth, grew up here, and sometimes you don't really focus on what's here. Sometimes it takes outsiders to come in and to show you like what's going on within your area. And I think the poems, the stories, when I had to read through them, when I had to look through them, it was such a great reminder of the talent that we have in Handsworth, in the surrounding areas, but also how everyone is kind of like on the same page, you know. We all know, if we're not going through it ourselves, but we all know someone who's going through particular issues. going through particular issues, going through particular struggles, going through particular stories, and whether it's yourself personally, it might be your neighbor, it might be a friend, it might be someone at work, but it's a great way for the community to come together and to hear different people's experiences. So I have to say, my experience with this whole, I hope I haven't spoken for too long, but my experience with this whole thing has just been amazing. And so, yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, you have.
Yes?
Wonderful job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Give it up for Rochelle, everybody. Thank you for that.
Careful. And I think maybe time for one last question, if there is one. Yes, another question?
Must you sit down there?
I just want to know how hard it was during this project. Sometimes very difficult times. How you used to face them, and how.
So how did we face our challenges? Sergeant, how did you face some of the difficulties that you went through?
I think that's a good question. Even talking about the radio thing, trying to do it all myself, didn't work. So that's the energy that Rochelle came in with, and she said, we're gonna go to the radio station, we're gonna bang down the doors, and look, we got like so much good response. But the other difficulties, I think I touched on them before, was just things like funding and things like getting interest from platforms, and even just learning how to do prints and stuff, because I don't really know about stuff like that. So I just had to like experiment with different prints and stuff and different fixatives, so that these prints didn't just like fall off or like crease or like, I don't know, start running like crazy or something. So all stuff like that, technical, and also linking with other people. Yeah, too much pressure on oneself. Yeah, that's why you need to help. You need to reach out to people. I think I've done that too much in the past, trying to just do it all myself.
Yeah, it's definitely good to reach out. As I keep forgetting to turn this microphone back on. It's definitely good to reach out and to see what other talents and things that people can support with.
Yeah.
So amazing. Thank you so much. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you so much for your questions, for sticking around.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Sergeant. So for further information about the launch, about where they can see the imagery, where can they go?
Well, you can see it on the screen right now. So if you could please go on to @LifeOfAPeople. That's LifeOfAPeople on Instagram. That's the main place that we post all our stuff. And then also we are doing crowdfunder as well. So we're trying to raise money so that we can, like we said before, make the work as accessible as possible. Like we said, we're going to try and do things in Braille and trying to do things in BSL. As you see, we've already done the languages. If you saw that poem, the song for the seamstress with the 6 subtitles all around, that's what all of the poems are going to be like. So please do support us. If you type in reflections.bio, you'll be taken to our crowdfunder page, and everyone's been so generous so far. And please continue to support. But yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Oh, okay. And we've got a mailing list as well. So if you look over there, there's a very handsome young man, and he's on the table. The merchandise table, and he's got a very interesting piece of paper that you must put your name on and your email address. I haven't asked for address, I haven't asked for nothing like that, just name and email address, because we want to try and start building a platform for the local people in North Birmingham. So even these exhibition boards that you've seen, they're locally made, like Uncle over there, thank you so much. See, it's all a family affair.
Yes,
please give
thank you.
Not only that, but the tent, this stage, and transport, everything. So we now own these boards, so we can actually rent them out like at a low cost to people, because that was one of the things when I was trying to look for ways to show the art outside, so it's more accessible. The boards are like $1,000 a week to rent, and then it's just so expensive. So we're trying to build a platform. So please do support us at reflections.bio. It would mean a lot.
Amazing. Thank you, Sergeant. One last question?
I've been just saying to Sergeant, don't worry, the God will help you.
Yes.
Because
Thank you.
You're doing really nice job. I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Because the parents is all the time is
you know, the Vibhananki Gurdwara doing the
Laying the
seva.
groundwork, yeah.
So the God give you
Exactly.
back for all the time. So don't think about the money. The
Mhm.
money comes. You don't know when the money comes. You one day you watch. You're going to be ready. I'm really.
Oh,
Amazing.
Thank you so much. I'll come to you. I'll come to you.
Blessings.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. Give a round of applause.
Thank you.
We've now come to the end. I
Thank
want
you
to
so
thank
much.
you guys
No,
again for
No,
being with us.
You can do it at reflections.bio.
Yes, you can
Oh, thank you so
donate
much. Thank
to the
you.
crowdfunding. But thanks again
We'll put this in the
for
pot.
staying
We'll
with
put
us.
this
I
in
just
the
want to
pot.
say some thank yous. I want to thank all the artists. Give it up for the artists that you have seen
Yeah, give it up for the artists.
today. Let's give it up to the food providers. So we had Little Pot, who
Yes.
provided the soup, and also Mom for providing the samosas. Thank you so
Oh,
much, and to also to
thank you.
Sergeant's dad as well.
Maltesers. Yes.
Blessings.
Classic Maltesers from Musty. Thank
We
you.
also want to say a big thank you to Handsworth Library. Give it up
Good
for
luck to
Handsworth
you.
Library and the Southern City
Yes.
College, to Jog Festival for allowing us to run alongside their festival today. Give it
Yes.
up for them.
Thank you, Jog. Thank you.
We want to say a big thank you as well to Core Midlands Construction, as Sergeant mentioned. They put up all the boards and this tent as well, so give it up for them as well.
Yes,
A big
thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Uncle.
A big thank you. To Grand Plan as well.
Yes.
who-
Yeah. So okay. So I think we can. We're now able to speak about this. So thankfully we got a grant from Grand Plan. It's called the Grand Plan Fund, and they sponsor. I think it's 20 people. Is it 20 people? Wahida, something like that. Every quarter, something like that. Something like, okay, all right. Yeah, so thank you to our sponsors, Grand Plan, and all the other sponsors that we've amassed along the way, mainly like local businesses, to be fair.
Yes, definitely. Give it up. We want to thank Wahida as well. Give it up for Wahida. Want to thank all the radio stations actually who have really supported us during this time for
Yes.
promotion. So give it up for New Style Radio, Radio
Yes.
Sanam, Big
Yes.
City, Raj FM, Unity FM, Radio XL, Radio Radio as well.
Yeah,
Give
yeah.
it up louder. Come on.
Louder. Thank you. These are
Yes.
community stations.
Community
so, yeah.
stations. Want to thank them big time, and I want you to give a big, huge round of applause to Shannon, who, off his own back, has come and is live streamed from us to Breakthrough TV. Give it up for Shannon from
Please,
Blue
yes.
Star Radio.
Not only that, but he sorted out our sound as well.
Yeah.
So we were struggling. I was
That's why we
stressing.
have mics, guys.
Yeah, I was raging at people. I was like, leave me alone. I'm trying to sort this out. So yeah, sorry.
Yes,
everyone.
and then we want to thank as well those of us who have also helped us with this today. So Burm's Grime, we want to give it up for them as well from Insta.
Yes, thank you
We want to
much.
give it up to them. We want to thank Raul on the camera there. We want to thank Marshall here as well. We want to thank Virgil here on the laptop. Don't believe I forgot anyone else. We want to thank everyone who was supported, family. Oh, me.
And Michelle.
Yes, thank you.
And how many Masi comes?
Yes, we want to thank everyone.
3 Masis comes.
3 Masia. Masia, Pua, everybody. It's a family affair.
Yes.
And
yes.
Didis.
Honestly, everyone that has supported today, thank you so much. Like we mentioned earlier, please come along. No, we haven't forgotten Sergeant.
Chachas, Massas, Massis.
As we mentioned earlier, this is just a preview, so please make sure you come along to
Yes.
the live event. Make sure you keep up to date with the socials and reflections.bio, where you can see when the actual launch date will be. Once again, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for coming out. Oh, please buy our merchandise because
Yes, please make sure to stop by the merchandise desk, okay?
Photograph.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, with everybody in it. Okay. Well, we'll see if everybody wants to come. But why don't we get I'll get a selfie with everybody. Yes. Thank you, Pua. Yeah, it's okay.